Welcome to Gap-Saraakaa. I'm your host, Neely, and I'm here with Roneel today. We are going to be talking about his story and his experience with being a paraplegic and how this has shaped his life since, as well as how this has been received in the community in terms of the good, the bad, and everything in between. So I've known Roneel since he was 13. I first met him when he showed up for indie school. Even back then, Roneel, you had a certain charisma and personality that was contagious. And you still carry that today. So I remember that very vividly about you. You're this cute little boy when you showed up. That was 2010-ish.
Yeah.
And, I've known of your families for a long time. Your dad is good friends with my cousin. So it's been wonderful to see you grow up. And obviously the tragic accident was a very sad part of your story, but I'm thrilled to see that you're thriving today. And I'm so grateful that you agreed to sit down with me and tell your story and share it with all of us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's begin with that day. If you want to walk us through what happened and how that experience went.
Yeah, so December 12th, 2021, I went to work. Actually, I was scheduled for a 3 to 11 shift, like 3 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Yeah.
I ended up going early, around like 9 a.m., so I ended up working like 14, 15 hours. What ended up happening, I got off. At the time, my fiance, we were sharing a car, so she picked me up at like 11. After work, we got home, it was 11:30. A friend of mine and his wife showed up randomly to our apartment and was like, let's go tobogganing, or like, let's go sledding. And I was like, I don't want to, I'm so tired. Like, I worked almost the whole day, like, I'm tired.
And sorry, is this afternoon or night?
This is night. This is like 11
Wow.
p.m., like 11:30 p.m.
Okay.
at night. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, he's like, let's go sledding. And I was like, no, like I'm tired. I've been on my feet all day. I don't want to go. Like working at the hospital, transporting patients.
Okay.
Like, didn't want to go. And I didn't even eat dinner or anything. And on top of that, we didn't even have sleds. So like, that was like the one thing. It's like, how are we going to go sledding without sleds? And then
Yeah.
he's like, well, by this point, it was like 11:50. And he's like, well, Walmart closes in 10 minutes. Like, let's go to Walmart, and it's across the street.
Yeah.
By the time we made a decision, it was like 11:55. We get there, we buy these 2 sleds, come back, and I'm like, no, I still don't want to go.
It's almost like somewhere inside you knew that wasn't something that was going to be good for you to do.
Yeah, it was like, and there was multiple signs. So like,
Yeah.
we go to Walmart, everything, like we grab the sleds, we're coming back, and my ex and I, we had just moved into that apartment, and my auntie gave me baboot to like do the puja and everything in the house, and she's like, on the outside of the door, but like with the baboot, put an om on the door, but she's like, don't wash it off or anything, like the wind and the rain will wash it off by itself. She's like, just leave it, and it's a white door, baboot is white, like it'll be fine.
Yeah.
And as we were coming, he's like, oh, your door is dirty, and he went to wipe, and I was like, no, and he wiped it, and I was like, that was an om on the door. And then he's like, oh, and I was like, okay, it's fine, I'll do a puja in the morning, because I was doing pujas every morning and everything. I was like, I'll do it in the morning, it's fine, whatever, I just want to go inside, eat, like, I'm tired. And then he's like, let's go sledding, and I was like, no, like, we don't even know where our winter stuff is. Like, that was another sign. We had just moved to that place, all of our winter stuff was in like multiple boxes.
Yeah.
And then his wife was like, oh, I can go through your boxes. And my ex was like, no, like, you can't go through our boxes. So then those two ended up going through all of our boxes. I think it was after like 7 or 8 boxes, they ended up finding all of our winter stuff. And then I was still like, I haven't ate, like I'm tired, and I was still like, no. I ended up eating, and then I was like, okay, you know what, let's go for a drive. I can show you where the hill is. If you guys want to go sledding, you guys can go.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay. So we take the sleds, everything, we get to the hill. And then somehow they convinced me, like, we can go sledding. And I was like, okay. So the first time we go up the hill. The first time it's him and his wife and me and my ex. We go down, everything's fine. We go up another time, and then the girls go down, so they went on the one sled, and there's trees on the side of the road, there's like a long bed truck, they go, and my ex was sitting in the front, his wife was sitting in the back, and they go and the sled starts turning, and there was a hole. Thank God there was a hole, or else like they would have hit those trees, or they would have hit that truck, and they both would have been dead. Like that, it was scary. And then so they hit the hole, they spun out, and I was like, okay, obviously we don't want to go down that same path. Let's move over, and we moved over a good 10 feet to the right. And so me and him are about to go down, and I'm like, hey, you sit in the front, I'm gonna sit in the back. Like I'm heavier because I was like 200 pounds at the time. He was like 120-ish, and then he's like, no, I'm scared. And I was like, you just went down in the front with your wife, like, you got this, you're fine. And then he's like, no, but like, the heavier person should sit in the front. And I'm like, no, like, in the winter, when you put sandbags in your car, you're putting it in the back so you have more control. Like
you're applying logic.
Yeah, right? And I'm like, the heavier person needs to be in the back. And he's like, no. And I was like arguing with him for like 10, 15 minutes. It's like 1:32 at this point in the morning. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm done arguing. Let's go down and we're going home. Like, I'm done. And he's like, okay. So I sit in the front, he's behind me. We go down, the sled starts turning. And I'm like, oh my God, like, get your legs out and like drag it on the ice. We need to stop. And then he's like, I can't, because he had his knees behind me or something. And then I'm like, hey, lean. We have to like lean, and like the momentum will throw us off so we don't hit the tree. And I like look back at him. He was not leaning at all. And then so he's like not leaning at all. And then I'm like, oh my God. And then we end up going straight for the tree. I like bring my legs back in. We end up hitting the tree. And his knees, because the way they were behind me, he propelled me up, so my body flew up and hit the tree. I ended up breaking 2 ribs, my sternum, my pelvis, broke my wrist, ended up breaking a vertebrae in my neck and 5 vertebrae in my lower back. And then, so at that point, I could still feel my legs. I brought my legs back to the sled, and he's like, you're too heavy. And I'm like, what did I tell you? Like, and then he's like, I need to get out. So he brought his knees up, and that's when I heard the crack and the crunch in my spine, and he rolled. And like, that's what like, I felt the break, and I was like, oh, something's wrong.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and then he's like, let me get you out. And I was like, no, because like, before, when I was in school, I was becoming a paramedic. Like that Monday, so that was like Saturday night, technically Sunday. Monday was my final exam. Like it was my driving test. I would have been qualified. And I was like, no, and he like pulls me, and I couldn't feel my legs after that. So immediately, like my ex and his wife come running. They're like, are you guys okay? And I was like, call 911. And then both the girls didn't know where we were, and I was like, give me the phone. I have the phone on my chest. I'm talking to the operator, and I'm like, we're here, like come to Connors Hill and everything. And then at that point, I'm like doing like a check on myself. I couldn't sit up right. I was like, my chest is so heavy. I can't breathe. Like something's wrong. And then I like felt my pelvis, and I was like, oh, this is bad. And like, because you can like feel a pelvic fracture, and like pelvic fractures are very dangerous because if they shift, you can actually cut off your femoral artery, and you'll just bleed out. So I was like, oh my God. So this is the part I can't remember if it was like her scarf that I took or if it was my scarf. And I was like, get the scarf under my butt. I'm doing the pelvic bind on myself, talking to the 911 operator. These guys I don't know what they're doing. They're freaking out. Ambulance ends up coming. And then they're like, the paramedics are like, hey, we're going to get you on like the stretcher board. We're going to load you up. And I was like, okay. So they do all that. We get into the ambulance. And then at this point, I'm like blocking in and out. Like the pain, I couldn't open my eyes. Like it was just too much. And then they were like doing, it's called the GCS scale, or like the glaucoma scale. And it's like how alert you are if you can move certain body parts and stuff. And I was like, I'm a GCS of 6. And they're like, how do you know that? And I was like, I'm becoming a paramedic. My final exam is Monday. And they were like, yeah, you're not attending that. And then they're like, okay, we have to cut off your, they're like, we have to cut off your clothes. And I was like, no, I'm wearing my $200 Nike sweater, please don't. And then they're like, we have to, sir. And I was like, okay, fine, we cut it off. And then they're like, we have to get all your earrings out. And I was like, okay. So then they're like taking all my earrings, they get the lobes out, comes to cartilage, and they're like, we have to cut these off, we don't know how to do it. I'm like, no, you're not cutting off my gold earrings. I was like, I got these from my parents, and I'm like taking it out, put them in the bag, and then I blacked them. That's the point that like blacked out, and I was in a coma for 10 days after that.
So you were unconscious for a full 10 days?
Yeah, 10 days, and then, then I woke up like right before Christmas that year.
This is 2021.
2021, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then total state, like, so I was at the U of A. This is the part where it's like really foggy, was like, I was in the ICU, then I was in like some other unit, and I was like back and forth between a bunch, and then there was like multiple different surgeries. So like, I was at the U of A for 4 months, then I went to the rehab hospital for like 2 months, but it was just, I think I had a total of like 17 surgeries while I was at the U of A, so just those 4 months.
That's incredible. And the fact that you had just gone through paramedic school, I mean, I feel like you probably saved yourself from being in an even worse state after that accident because you knew what to do.
Yeah.
Like, had that been somebody else, they would have not known to use a scarf, to check for, you know, all those different things that you did, and maybe they would have tried to move or do something, and... And then that's one of the, like, I'm glad I had that background because, there's been people that, like, I've met over the last few years that, like, have gone diving, broke, like, their back or their neck diving, and instead of, like, being properly, like, taken out, people have dragged them out and their body is shaken and then, like, severed their spinal cord completely, and then they have no chance of walking ever again. Whereas it's like, if they actually knew the medical background behind it, it maybe could have been avoided, like, a little bit. Yeah, and so you also mentioned that at that time you also had a mini stroke.
Yes, so because of all the stress and the way my body happened and everything, so I had a, like, very minor stroke, so, like, somehow my left side of my body is affected, even though it's like paralyzed from the waist down or like knees down or whatever, and then there's like some in my left side, so like my eyes and my face is a little bit affected, but other than that, that's mostly to the extent of my injuries.
Wow, that is...
I have like 2 titanium rods in my spine. I have metal hips.
Both sides.
Both sides, the left side was the worst side. The left side shattered completely. This side was like just a fracture, but there's like metal screws and everything holding it in.
And so was the brunt of the impact on the left side?
Yes, so when we hit the tree, when I flew up, my body basically, the left side hit the tree, and that's why everything on my left side got affected.
So to sum up the conversation so far, you had a tragic accident. You endured so much, and now you are Iron Man.
Basically. More like titanium man. It's like all
Titanium.
Yeah.
So when you travel and all that, you go through those scanners. Do you like just go off?
No, they don't take me through the scanners.
Okay.
They do a full pat down, and it's very intrusive. Like, they're like lifting up my legs and getting like right up in everything. They're like, can we touch you? And I'm like, do I have any other choice? Like, it's so bad. But like, we don't go through scanners anymore because the wheelchair actually like triggers everything.
That's true,
So I get like a full pat down. They make me take off my shoes, my belt. Sometimes they're like going underneath my shirt, and I'm like, oh my god, like, is this really necessary? Like, But that's been my journey so far.
Okay. So from then until now, Roneel, how has your experience been, and how have you overcome the challenges of the accident, as well as what has the response been from the general public, but also specifically kind of tying back to the premise of this channel, the response from the Indo-Fijian community?
So like at first, I think a lot of it was like when I first got injured and everything, obviously my family took it quite hard, right? My parents were like, hey, like move back in with us, we'll help take care of you, we'll do like almost everything for you, we'll cook for you, clean for you, like you have a place to stay, don't worry, like basically like we'll take care of you. And I was like, no, first of all, I don't want that. I don't want people to be taking care of me. Maybe life is a little bit different now, right? And yes, it's a struggle, but like I don't want to do that. And it immediately made me think of like when you like going back to the Fiji community, especially in Fiji, you don't see people in wheelchairs. You don't see them going out and roaming around, right? You don't even hear about people talking to them. And it's like if you do meet someone, they're usually sitting at home, and it's like people coming and visiting them. And what ends up happening in that state is, yes, it's a physical disability, but then it also ends up turning into a mental disability. And I was like, I would never want to be in that state. So I will, even if I'm struggling to like, if it took me 5 minutes to wash dishes before, even if it takes me an hour to do 2 dishes washing, I will do that to save my mental state. And I was like, I told my parents like immediately, nope, I'm not moving back in. Like I'm gonna still live alone, and that's where I stayed. And then I think so. Like, yeah, I was in the hospital from December 2021 at U of A until May of 2022. Until March. And then from March until May was at the Glen Rose, which is like rehabilitation. And there I got introduced to like other people that got injured. And from there it was like, so I'm technically a T12, which is like lower ribs down your hips. And I met people that were like from the neck down, or like they were from like the chest down. And I was like, you know what? There's always gonna be somebody worse. And I was like, I have to be grateful for what I have, because I could have easily, like, yeah, I broke a vertebrae in my neck, but I thank God my spinal cord didn't get infected, and I could have easily been paralyzed from the neck down. And then at that point, what would I have done? Not move my arms, only move my head. Like, at least now it's like, I should be grateful I can move my hands, I can literally go wherever I want. Like, yeah, stairs suck, but like, everything else I can do pretty independently, right?
Yeah.
And I think it took a lot of time convincing my parents of that. And finally they like, over the years, they've like, were like, oh yeah, you know what, like, you're doing fine, you're doing great. And then, so when I got discharged, that was May of 2022, there's a few events that I attended. And one of the first ones was like, it was a wedding, someone's wedding, and like, I didn't go on the dance floor or anything, and like, one of my biggest things is like, I love to dance. I'll be first one on the dance floor, last one off, like at 3, 4 in the morning, right? And go there, and then I was on the dance floor, and there was people that were like, oh, like, that called my parents or called other family members and were like, why was he there? It was so embarrassing to like look at it. Like,
And so I just want to make it clear that this is an Indo-Fijian
yeah,
gathering.
yeah.
So this is our people.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like, so they said these things about me, and I found out from other people, and I was like, okay, great, like, that's kind of, yeah, kind of rude, right?
Very.
Yeah, and it was like, even at the event, there was like, someone that came up to me and like, was like, oh, why are you here? Shouldn't you be at home? Like, it's kind of embarrassing to be here. And I was like, you're gonna tell me that straight to my face, like, as I'm eating dinner at a wedding? Like, you're here to celebrate the couple. Like, we're here to celebrate the couple. Why are you so focused on me? Right? And then whatever, I like went out for fresh air, and there was like a bunch of uncles like drinking in the parking lot, and they're like, "Beta manta," and I was like, "Yeah, uncle, sure, I'll have one," right? And he's like, "Oh, tum sakta pi," and I was like, "Haan, uncle, hum gor nahi chahte, move pura chalo." And then they were shocked that I was just saying that, and everyone's like, "Wow, like that's so good," and I was like, "Yeah, like I'm still the same person. I can still party and drink with you. Like, may look a little different. I always have a chair with me. Like, you have to find a chair, right? Like." So like, and like, I think I've carried that where it's like, I take the humor out of it, right?
Yeah.
And then, so that was like the first incident. Second one was like, it was another party, another engagement, it was like wedding or engagement or whatever. And then this time, my friend was like, hey, come on the dance floor with me.
And again, Indo-Fijian.
Indo-Fijian event, yeah. And she was like, come on the dance floor. And I was like, okay, yeah. So like, dance the whole night, everything. And then my mom got a call the following, like the next Monday or whatever, and apparently whoever called my mom was like, why was he there? Why was he on the dance floor? It was so embarrassing. He shouldn't have been. And it was like, that was the second time I heard that comment, right? And then there was another event, now the third event that same year, like within a few months, went to Calgary for this wedding, and so there's no one from Edmonton, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'll be safe, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm not gonna let this happen again. I was like, I don't want people to like go to my parents and be like, oh, tumha leka besti kare, right? Or like this is basically like, why is he out and everything? And I didn't want to like bring the name down almost, like, so I was like, I'm not gonna do anything. So I literally sat like at the farthest table away from the dance floor, sitting there, and it's like dance floor opens up, and then I'm like eating like chicken nuggets or something in the corner, and then the DJ announced like it's bride's side versus groom's side, the bride's brothers versus the groom's sisters.
Yeah.
And the bride comes, and she's like, Roneel, where are you? And I'm like, oh no, right? And I'm like trying to hide, and she's like, you're my brother, aren't you? And I was like, I guess. And she's like, so why aren't you on the dance floor? And I was like, nope, I'm not going. And she's like, I'm taking you. And I absolutely hate it when people push my wheelchair.
Yeah.
She literally unlocked my wheelchair and took me on the dance floor. She's like, dance. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then, so like, after like, I was like, okay, whatever, right? So I had a few dances, and then like I went off because I was like, you know, I'm like so traumatized basically, right?
Of course.
And I like go off, and then like random uncles and aunties were like, Beta, come. And they're like taking me on the dance floor to dance, and ended up dancing the whole night.
Mm-hmm.
My mom gets a call the weekend, like the following day, or the following like business day or whatever, like Monday.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, like, I want to match that up. And my mom's like, not again, right? But they were like, get na adjusted, not Jisu, like, he should be out more, he should be showing people that anything is possible, this and that. And I was like, see, these are the comments that I want to hear, right? Like,
so Calgarians are going to have a hoot with this one.
Yeah.
Because they're always against us.
I know.
But that's 2 strikes for Edmonton
Yeah.
and 1 point for Calgary right there.
Oh, there's more strikes for Edmonton coming.
Wow.
Yeah, and then, so like, yeah, that was basically what happened. And then after that, there was a point where like, I went to the Monday for the first time after so long. And it was the Gugla Puja, the one that like the big one, right?
Yeah, which they just had recently,
Yeah,
right?
and I like always, every year I'm going to that one. And I even did the Naj for that one. Like, I did the Jitpuk Naj or whatever. And then, so I'm always there for that one. So I was like, okay, I was in the hospital for the other one. I'm gonna go to this one. And it's now another big event here that I'm out at. And so I'm sitting at the back where like all the chairs are almost, right?
Yeah.
So obviously I'm not gonna sit in the middle and get out of my chair. So I'm sitting there, and people, oh sorry. First we do the rounds. People are like, oh my God, you're here, and they're like, how are you? Just asking basic questions. But we're doing puja, like you can't really have a conversation.
Yeah.
Whatever. And then we go inside. I'm doing puja. Go and sit in the back, and then some uncle comes up to me and he's like, so my Aji also had a stroke maybe a few months prior. And she was in the hospital, or she was home, like I can't really remember where she was at that time, but she was also like using a wheelchair or walker. And he was like, "Tuma aji ekke bolti koi kiya na?" And I was like, okay, like, wow, you're gonna say this to me like in the mandir?
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I'm like, you're not paying attention to the puja, you're paying attention to me. And then even like I was sitting.
What's wrong with people?
Exactly, right? And then, so whatever, the puja's going on. Some auntie comes up to me and she starts crying, grabbing my legs, "Niche, get puja."
Hey, Bhagwan.
Yeah. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, Hum Allah ka tumhe kaun jiwa ge. Do I know who she was? No. I didn't even know who she was. And I was like, what is going on, right? Whatever. And then some other people were like asking me questions. It was whatever. They're asking me questions how I'm doing. Fine.
Yeah.
Then came the time to eat. So I go downstairs and some random auntie again. She was like, "Oh, kai tum gaya tobogganing," and I was like, "Auntie, you know what? It was an accident. It happened. It happened. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Right? Jo hua so hua. Right?" And then she was like, "No, but kai tum nasa mein kiya or drugs pee ke kiya?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? When was I drunk and when did I do drugs?" And she's like, "Hum suna sabko ke baat hai. Sabko hame batai tum drugs karke kiya aur pura nasa mein." And I was like, "Who told you that? Tell me who told you that, because I will confront them right now."
Yeah.
And she's like, "No, I'm just a little sache boys." And I was like, "What are you talking about? I literally worked 14 hours before I went, and I was like, I didn't even have time to eat, and I went." So I was like, "You're gonna tell me that I drank and I was partying and doing drugs? Like, I've never touched drugs a day in my life. Like, and now you're telling me, oh, I was like drinking and everything? No, where was I drinking? At the hospital? Like, right, like transporting patients with a bottle of vodka. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense." And then
Yeah.
I like literally called my mom and I was like, "Listen to what this auntie has to say."
Yeah.
And my mom's like, "No, like that was one of the first questions that my parents asked the doctors. Was he like under the influence?"
Right.
And the doctors were like, "No," and my parents confirmed it multiple times. And even my parents heard that apparently I was drunk or under the influence. And I
Well,
was
people
like,
love making up stories.
yeah, and I was like, and I got like such a sour taste from it, and I was like, I'm not going to the Monday again. Like, I'm done, right?
That's so unfortunate.
Yeah, and so I was like, okay, whatever, right? And then that was the Google Puja 2022, so October. And then at that time, my parents and I, we were starting a plan that I was going to go to Thailand to get like stem cell treatment. And what the stem cell treatment would do is potentially give you the chance to walk. And so we had like started like a GoFundMe and stuff. And people started making comments about that. They were like, oh, hum log ka paisa de uske. Like, ooh, kali paisa leke, pura hindi nasa karke and everything. And I was like, okay, like, if you don't want to donate to the cause, if you don't want to help out, you don't have to.
Right.
But why do you have to make those comments, right? And then, so, whatever. And then my breakup happened in January of 2023. I ended up leaving for Thailand in March, I think. So, like, we're already going through the process to go to Thailand. And then it's like my dad and I. And then we're like raising money, and like a lot of people had donated and everything. Whatever, it was great. And then, so we go to Thailand, we come back. And now there's a puja again, that 2023 October, right? Because we missed the April one.
Yeah.
So October comes, I was like, you know what? It's been a year. It's okay.
Let me
I'm
give
like,
people another chance.
yeah, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna go, it'll be fine. I go there. We're sitting outside, they're doing the puja outside, the Gula puja, right?
Mhm.
One guy comes up and he's like, हम लोग इतना पैसा तुमने दिया, अभी तक नहीं सकता चले. And I'm like,
Because you would rather choose to be sitting in a wheelchair.
yeah, he's like, oh, kara nahi sakta ho. And I'm like, no. Like, he's like, oh, kali jana tum dekhe dostan koi se beta. And I'm like, okay, like, right? And then, whatever, right? And then go inside, same thing, doing the puja. Some lady comes up to me and she's like, kaun fayda hum log donate karage tumhara right nahi hoyi. And I'm like, okay, like, you didn't have to, right? And then on top of that, I know who this lady was. I went back to like, because on GoFundMe,
Yeah.
this is another thing. You can see how much people have donated, even
Yeah.
if you put it as anonymous, just a little trick up there. And I saw I was gonna see how much she donated, and I was just gonna take it out of my pocket and like give it to her.
Yeah.
And be like, you know what?
Move
I don't
on.
want your, yeah, exactly. Like, I don't want your comments.
Yeah.
You know how much she gave? $10.
Yeah.
And I was like, over $10, you're gonna be saying that? Like I was like, you know what? Whatever, let her say it.
Yeah.
And then that was basically like most of the comments that I heard. And then that was like, yeah, 2023. And then there's a few friends that I had before, and like one incident that stuck out to me. So like one of my best friends, well, at the time, we went to his house and everything was good. His actually mistake. And props to this guy. I don't know how he lifted me in my chair by himself, like 5 steps to get me into his house. And before I even like entered the house, it was middle of winter, and we were like outside wiping the snow off my tires. And like his Aji opens the door and she's like, "Are tumhe kochi koi gaye?" And I'm like, "Oh, like Aji, you didn't hear? Like I got into an accident like 2 years ago." And she's like, "Nahi, I'm suna." But she's like, "Ab tum koi kaam like bhi hai nahi." And I was like, "Okay." And then she's like, then my friend, he obviously like doesn't understand Hindi that well. He was
Yeah.
like, "Oh no, Aji, he works." And I was like, "That's not what she said."
Yeah.
She literally called me useless.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Where are your parents?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, like how did you get here?" And I'm like, "I drove." And she's like, "Nahi sake." And I'm like, "Yeah, like Aji, I drove." And like I've had to explain this to so many people that it's like, yeah, when you're paralyzed, you can drive as well. We just use your hands rather than our feet.
Right.
And then she like didn't believe me. And then she's like, "Tum kuch khana khata?" And I was like, "Everything. Like roti tarkari, like gost tarkari, like you know, like everything." And then she was like, "Oh, mummy daddy banai ke deve." And I was like, "No." I was like, "I cook myself." I was like, "Sometimes I'm even cooking for my parents." Like,
Yeah.
she's like, "Nahi, nahi, tum jhoot bolta, tum nahi sakta khana pakao." And I'm like, I'm literally here at my friend's house, like, and he literally called me over to cook for him.
Yeah.
Because he wanted like tarkari khana, and I was like,
Yeah.
like I'm here to cook. And I was like, you're gonna tell me that I don't cook,
Yeah.
and then my parents are dropping off food for me, like, and then like I had schoolwork to do, and I like opened my laptop and I was like doing schoolwork at the same time, and then me and him were planning like a trip, and like we're doing this stuff, and then she was like, "Ah, tum games khelta, tumhara dimag right hai," and I was like, oh my god, like, you know, just unnecessary comments overall.
Do better, people. Do better.
Right? And I think like yeah, it was just like all of that. And then that same year, I had met a bunch of people in wheelchairs and like a bunch of Gora people, whatever, right? And they had been paralyzed for like 5, 10, 15, sometimes even 20 years. And they were showing me that like, hey, your life's not over. Don't listen to what other people have to say, because at the end of the day, they're always going to have something to say. Whether it's good or bad, they're going to have something to say. So why do you care? And I was like, that is very true. So there was like a birthday dinner that I went to, and I met my agent. And my agent was like, I've never met you before. Like, let me sign you up for my modeling agency and like this and that. So I started doing like the modeling stuff, and then I got signed for a TV show on CBC.
Yeah.
And then we were talking about like like she was asking me like, what did I like to do before? And I was like, oh, I played soccer, I did like mixed martial arts, I did all these other things. And then I was like, my biggest thing was dancing. Like, and she's like, isn't there any dance groups here? And I was like, not really. Like the one that was here, and also mind you, it was like COVID time, so I didn't really have like I reached out to places, but they were all closed.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, why don't you start your own?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I never thought about it, like starting my own thing, right? And I was like, okay, you know what? Let me do it. And because I started that, I ended up on a TV show, started the modeling, started the advocacy for people with disabilities, and then it was like, now we're getting like major performances for like the dance group and everything, right? And I think at that point it was like such a switch, because it was like I kept hearing all these negative things from the community, and I was getting on one side the positive from a community that I thought I would never be a part of, right? Like I was so like involved in the Fijian community, and you would think that those would be the people that support you the most.
Yeah.
Right? And unfortunately for me it wasn't the case. Like I think the only people that actually supported me were like close family friends or like family at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And like before that it was like I would make a phone call and I'd have like 40, 50 people at my house for a house party. Everyone would be DJ. Now maybe like 2.
Mandali.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, and my parents warned me ahead of time. They're like,
Yeah.
these friends are not good for you. Did I listen? No. After I got paralyzed, it like brought such like an eye-opening experience. Because I was like, oh, you know what? Like, such a bad thing happened to me, but it ended up so positive because it really opened up who was there for me and who wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, basically that's been the journey so far.
Wow. I mean, all those other Indo-Fijian people aside, you know, I would like to say, and I know that many other people, even though they may have not had the opportunity to let you know this, but you are a huge inspiration.
Thank you.
You know, you've endured so much, you've taken something that you could have experienced and then had taken you down the wrong path, but you continue to stay positive and you're doing all these good things. You know, you mentioned you started Bali Wheels, you are advocating for other people who are paraplegic or in wheelchairs. You're doing the modeling, the TV shows. So when I post this video, I'll be sure to include some of those tags and whatnot in the description and tag you as well. And people are just naturally curious. So, you know, you've alluded to it a couple times already that it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to say, hey, what happened that led you to be in a wheelchair? How are you dealing with it today? What are you doing? But it's definitely not okay to make the comments that you've encountered and told us about here on this video today. So I truly appreciate you sharing your story in such depth, and I really hope that the people in our community watch this and that they realize that it's, I don't even know what words to use, like it's just, it's ugly.
Yeah,
It's so insensitive. You know, say good things, be positive. Push people up, don't pull them down, really.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the things I would say is like, this accident, even though, yes, it was tragic, it's unfortunate, right? Like I went from walking to now being in a wheelchair. It's probably one of the best things that's ever happened to me, right? And I think that's one thing is like, I don't want that pity, I don't want that guilt, right? Like, it's okay, and accidents happen, it can happen to anyone, right? Whether it's today, tomorrow, 10 years, 15 years. At the end of the day, everyone's gonna end up the same, right? With old age, you're
Yeah.
gonna end up using a walker, cane, crutches, like you're gonna end up in a wheelchair, right?
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time. I was like, I just did it sooner than everyone else.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm gonna have more experience than everyone else.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know, it's like, this ended up being one of the best things in my life that happened, and I've gotten so far with how, like, where I've come in my journey, and I'm like, I would do it all over again.
Yeah.
Like, but it's like, those asking questions and being curious about it, totally okay, but being ignorant and like deliberately making like negative comments, it's like, oh my god, like I don't need to hear this.
Yeah. Very well said. I couldn't have wrapped it up better myself. I think that's, you know, a great note to end on. This is Roneel. He is absolutely amazing. Again, such an inspiration and, you know, a role model for everyone within our community, kids, adults, seniors, everyone even outside our community. Again, I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for joining me today, and Matt, I'm proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for watching.